let's come to that part which you might hate or which I don't know, because generally on my show when an artist comes, I generally do not ask them to perform, but
No, not at all. I mean,
but can you, because I am anything related to Yalama, because I think I'm going to take my show towards her
sure.
after you sing. So if you can give us a glimpse of what you can sing
Sure.
for us, thank you. Thank you.
There are so many Yalama songs that we collected. I think instead of singing you a full song, I think I can sing you this one, which is just 2 lines. So in the story, this comes as a part of Yallamanata, the play. And in the play, Parshurama is told by Jamadagni that if you want my name and if you want to be my son, prove your obedience to me and kill your mother. So Parshurama goes to the mother and he says, Mummy, like you love me, no mummy, so you must die, mummy. So come, let's go, I will kill you. So she's like, okay, and she sings all the way. Like this is drama, right? Where the melodrama is. I says to me, Manjamma, who taught me this song, she says, I sing this song till everybody in the audience cries. Like that is the point of the song. Ellar alatana, na ide had hadti. She'll go round and round the stage and she'll sing till everyone cries. So it goes like this. It's the words mean, Ninna nanu nambidenu. I trusted you, my son. That's what it's. Ninna nanu nambidenu, magane Rama. Ninna nanu nambidenu. Ninna nanu nambidenu, magane Rama. Ninna nanu nambidenu. ಆಸರೆಲ್ಲದ ಬಳ್ಳಿ ಹಾಬಿದರೇನು, ತಾಯಿ ಇಲ್ಲದ ತವರು ತವರಿದರೇನು, ನಿನ್ನ ನಾನು ನಂಬಿದೆನು, ಮಗನೇ ರಾಮ ನಿನ್ನ ನಾನು ನಂಬಿದೆನು. So it's really long, but the verse also says, like if you're a tendril and you don't find support, how are you ever going to grow? And if you have a house, a mother's house without a mother in it, how much attachment is that house anyways? So it's like a song which kind of puts a lot of pathos, a lot of melodrama in it, and that's what makes Yallamanata also a ritual, right? It's not important to blind yourself to the audience and see them in pitch dark. You're expecting a certain reaction. When Parshurama is going to kill the mother, you want everybody to feel that pain, that there is a murder going to happen and this child is never going to forgive himself. And just the way, and these are all untrained artists. They haven't been to NSD, they haven't been to anything, but she makes everyone cry. You see the audience, they're like, oh, and you're like, that's real, right? That's magic. Yeah. So I really like this song mainly for that reason, the way she says it. Like I won't leave till everyone cries. And that's, yeah, as an artist, you have your goal set right, I would say.
Wow, it doesn't feel like making you stop. It is so, your voice is just divine. And thank you so much for, let's drift towards this beloved goddess of ours, Yellama. Can you take me and my audience through her story, and why does it inspire you so much? Can you tell us that?
The story of Yellama is a very, very long story. I mean, in Yallamanata, more than Yellama, I think what fascinated me was Yallamanata, this form, right? And I think for us in South India, especially, I can't speak about the North because I don't know better. Within South India, we have a lot of these Ambabai, Huligyamma, Maramma. We have a lot of female deities. And these female deities were fierce. They're unlike the women we are today. They're larger than life. They killed, castrated, destroyed, burnt cities down. Like, they were crazy women. Like, they seemed like rock stars who are throwing tantrums, right? I found that somewhere within Yellama, there is the god. Her story is kind of a repetition of many, many deities. So none of these stories, I feel, is an original, but it's the stories of our women, our ancestral women, and the kind of shit that they had to go through. That's the kind of stuff that went into these stories. So Yallamma for me is a culmination of this Parshurama story, the birth of Parshurama, which becomes almost like a historic moment for us in Indian mythology and literature. Um, when you look at Dattatreya, when you look at Parshurama, for the coast and for the inland, they're very different people. The way Datya or Parshurama is seen in our dryland regions, let's say southern Maharashtra and northern Karnataka, and how it's seen in the coast where they become almighty gods all the way till you land up in Kerala, something is happening here. Like this women oriented story kind of starts to sink into the dry land, while this upholding of this patriarchy and this crazy machoism bursting in the thing. So this becomes the birth of Kalari, the birth of warriors, the understanding of weaponry. But in the dry land, it becomes about why the woman matters, why she matters, and how she had to go through so much shit to give birth to you. So that becomes a central narrative in Yallamma's story, that she is a Kshatriya woman. She wants to get married to a Brahmin man who is sitting under a tree looking very hot. He must have been way older than her, salt and pepper hair. She falls in love with him. And because she's a princess, she gets what she wants. She gets married to him, but she's just not able to get his heart. Like, she's just not able to win it over. And he finally banishes her he never wanted to marry her by the sounds of these versions of the story, this North Karnataka set of versions, where he basically banishes her saying, you have been unfaithful to me. But what has happened is that she couldn't do a certain task and she's supposed to make a sand pot and carry it over a snake. What not? I mean, if you want to get rid of a wife, that's what you want to tell her. Go make a pot out of sand and, So she goes and tries to make this pot. She does it every day. And one day she fails. And the way we tell the story is because she's sitting and making this pot and she's calling herself a devout wife, right? And then she sees a Gandharva couple in front of her and they're like frolicking, they're kissing, they're making out. And she's like, aisa bhi hota hai. Like, my God, like this might also be love, no? And the minute she...
Why are they sucking faces?
Yeah, why are they sucking faces? Like my grandmom, completely oblivious. So I think that is what makes her lose concentration, because she realizes that this man is putting her through a task which is making her love life a compromise. And she's in such heavy denial, she's not able to accept it. So I think that's Renuka's story for me. From there, she gets banished. She asks Shiva for a son, Shiva for a child. And why she asks that Shiva for a child also, one of the biggest, longest prose in this play is about how she's a Banji. She's a childless woman and she's trying to go from one place to another begging for food, and no one will give her food because she's childless. And again, if you look at mythicizing this whole childless concept, it's one way to go, but it's really pointless. It's to look at the fact that a single woman is always a threat. She either has to be a hoe, or she has to be a queen, or she has to be a devi. You want to fit somewhere in between, you've got problems, sister. By yourself, there is no way you're going to start a revolution. So get a child, validate your existence, make sure you're not jumping in my husband's bed. That's the whole idea why a Banji is so looked down upon. And then she goes on to give birth to Parshurama. Now, Parshurama, unlike in the coastal narrative or the mainstream narrative, here they have no problem looking at this mother-son relationship very, very informally. So the mother is saying, suli magna ni mo. She's cursing him to a point where you'll be like, who is she cursing? Her own son? But she's doing that also with so much of right. So it's also claiming these male figures, right? Which is a very important thing. I mean, it's a very important aspect. You're looking at larger than life men And then you have this woman to say, shut up and sit and drink your milk. Do your homework. And that's who Renuka is for me. She's able to control Parshurama till a point where he says, I want your life only for it. I want your life. And she's like, take it. So there are various versions. What happens in Yellama's myth is, let's say a myth travels from point A to point B. Point A, questions will be resolved. Point B, there's a new group asking new questions. No, but why did this happen? No, but he shouldn't have. And then those questions get resolved by that community and the story changes. Then it moves to point C, and then there is a new group waiting for a new resolution. So if you look at in my community, we're a Madiga community, so we're a leather working community. For us, there was a lady much more ancient than Yellama called Matang. And she's a force, like she's another crazy god. What happens is, imagine like something is trending. Yellama's story is trending. Suddenly Matangi is not popular anymore. Matangi needs to get usurped by the Yellama story. So Yellama and Matangi are friends in many stories in that region, where apparently Matangi saves Yellama at some point, Renuka at some point, and Matangi's nose gets cut off. So Renuka says to her, Matangi, wherever my temple will be there, they will always pray to you and never forget the help that you've done. To a point where when Renuka's head is beheaded, Matangi hugs her and both heads get beheaded, and then head switch happens. Parshurama is such a nutcase. He exchanges the heads. He puts Matangi's head for his mom's body and Renuka's head for Matangi's body. So the Kshatriya head and the Dalit body becomes known to be as Yellama in our region, some places. So what is Yellama? She's still like a huge story. Yeah? If you go all the way down to Sri Lanka, there is Renuka temples. All the way in Kashmir, there are Renuka temples. So the idea of unlocking Renuka stories between these 2 points itself is 5 lifetimes for me, Devdutt.
I can understand you. It's just like folklore.
It's nuts. It's just huge. It's like a wide forest, and obviously we're enchanted by it because we're finding small trinkets here and there, and we're very excited. But we're also aware that we can't usurp this whole forest. We can never. We have to just go further deep rather than trying to go wide. So once we felt a story kind of felt close to us, it did certain things. It made you question the roles of women. It made you question roles of patriarchy. It made you question sexuality. This idea of divinity or obedience. And so all of these things I felt when we found it in a story, we said, we'll stick with this story and work with this community, the Jogati community. And that has been so far wonderful, actually. I mean, just knowing the folk is not important, but to see how people embody that folk, how people have lived in that folk. The Jogatis have a completely different version, not a completely different version, but there's a story in their version where Parshurama starts asking who my father is. Where is he? And she is trying to avoid this question. And he starts to pester her saying that I'm going to kill you. I mean, what a thing to say to your mother. One nasty child he was. So he was like, I'm going to kill you. And she goes running to Shiva. And Shiva then says, I will make Parshurama come and get you, if at all. But he has to come in a woman's sari. Like he has to give up his maledom. He has to give up his machonas. And he has to wear like gajra, lipstick, sari and come to heaven. Because I'm going to keep you in a women's only section in heaven. So for the Jogatis, Parshurama is that super macho man who gave that up for his mother. So hence, the Jogatis had to make the male person even cross-dress in the story to make it more appropriate. But it's there and it makes wonders. So that's why Parshurama is so dear. Like they say, Manjama calls her Shruti Parshurama.
Oh.
Because she takes care of it like a baby. The instrument is also called Parshurama. So it's that. So Yellama, if I could explain it, there's so much more to say, but it's a concept really. She's a deity, yes. She has a few centers, but as and when you travel and you find a Renuka temple, you'll realize the story is different. It actually looked at all the minority communities and said, if you don't have gods, you have me, you know. And even your small time gods who did not get popular, now they will become my sisters, my brothers, my, you know, comrades, so to speak. So that's what's great about that story. It's a concept. It's really an evolving concept.
Now let's come again to the part you said you dislike saying about yourself. Let's talk about the activism part of your life. I know you don't like being called an activist as such, but your general biography hasn't been able to keep you out of all the work that you have been doing. No, I mean,
so much trouble.
no, I mean, not only as a musician, but also as a responsible being where you have been working for women empowerment, social upliftment, and also the work that you have been doing with the Urban Folk Project. What can you tell us more about this side of your personality where the activism lies?
I think, I don't know if I wanted to be an activist at any point. I was always scared of being in a space of contention, as in like your whole being is about debating and debating and questioning and questioning. So when I worked as a youth worker, when I worked as a researcher with an NGO, I really loved my exposure to what that world was. But I had a problem in the sense we try and make even activism a kind of genre of way of living. Yeah. But for me, art is activism. At least the way I treat my art is I'm telling this story of Yalama because it's about women empowerment. I'm not saying it to make us all go back in nostalgia and say, oh my God, the past is so wonderful. I'm saying this particular story, and I'm saying it particularly this way. And I don't mind calling Parashurama a psycho in my story or saying vagina for this reason, because we are here right now. We are in a time where freedom of speech is so important, because it's being squished so left, right, center with so blatantly that I think it's important to use whatever we have for activism. We should all be activists for that matter. I'm trying to tell you that that in a political climate like this, if we don't all activate, I think we will perish. So I feel I don't want to practice activism separately from what I do. I want my work as UFP, my grandmom's songs, why I particularly sing it also, is to remind myself that I may come from privilege now, but I come from a place where my grandmom had to work 10 hours in the field to be able to feed my dad. And because of that, my dad, through reservations and through a lot of Ambedkarite, Dalit movement, was able to become a bureaucrat. And so 3 generations have worked for me to be able to speak this English, to be able to have this reach. So I don't look at my battles as something that I have to join somebody else's front. Like a lot of people try and tell me, oh, you're saving Kannada, thank you so much. I'm not trying to save Kannada. I'm not even Kannadiga. I come from a border culture which is neither Marathi, neither Kannada, neither Urdu, neither. I accept all of them as my culture. So please don't give me this, let's go save something. There is, if language was a person, then there was dying. But languages don't die. They just modify and become something else. So what is the point in holding on to something and saying we have to save something, we have to segregate something, you are an artist, you are an activist? Kuch bhi nahi, like we all have social responsibilities, Bob. And I think whatever you have, I mean, if you don't have music, you have a lathi fight with that. If you have a sickle, then yes, lal salam to you. there's obviously all of us have to find tools in a way. So suddenly, if you start doing activism these days, they'll say, oh, so you're against BJP, oh, okay, you're against this. These are simply labels, but you can be against ideologies. And the ideologies are very clear as to what ideology people are working with. Yeah. If your parents are coming from a generation where they have sidelined Muslims, then you have to be a generation that corrects it. There's that, not to repeat the same mistake and say they did it for so long. No, they must have had some sense in it. So idea of folk is also not to preserve, because there's a lot of regressive shit in folk that you have to filter first. You can't just pick up everything that's old. You need only stuff that's relevant now and is going to work for your soul and my soul. Otherwise, I think activism can be a very drab, wearing black kurtas and I want to be able to bring my gods into my fight. I think a lot of Andhra Pradesh artists do this well, bringing their community instrument, bringing their language into, their accents, their things, not trying to sanitize, not trying to modify, not trying to generalize. But even if we have 5 people fighting, let's fight in a language that 5 of us know, and not care about what somebody else is going to slap onto you, right?
Yeah.
There's all sorts of politics that goes around, and I think I try and avoid certain kind of politics and apply certain kind of politics, and that's a conscious thing. I think a lot more of us need to do. And so, to summarize, I think I'm a politically aware person, but I think it also comes from having my grandmother, having my dad, having to see so many people in my community being endangered, or after I think Vemula passed away, there was a new Dalit consciousness that I felt inside me. When there was someone that young passed away and we could not get justice for it, suddenly there was, I'd forgotten, about my my Dalitness, because you grow up in convent, you're all conventized. There is no upar niche. You all feel like you know Jesus more than anybody else. So I just feel like it came back to me, and it's coming back to me because of the times right now. It's how things are that are making me look more clearly into the problems that we have also sidelined. Like within Gulbarga, there is a beautiful, harmonious relationship in this Hyderabad, Karnataka region, all the way till Golconda, all the way till Hyderabad. You have this wonderful region where everything has been modified. Like Hindu rituals have Muslims, Muslim rituals have Hindus. Like for Muharram in our village, only from a Madiga household does the burning coal go for the god. And for our festivals, to slaughter the animals, only a mullah uncle will come and slaughter the animals. We don't do it ourselves. Only if he does it can we eat. So it's about unity in the margins that has gone missing, right? Which I think is something that we need to hold on to. When the rich and the powerful live in the middle, the poor and the disadvantaged live in the peripheries. And if you're right in the middle, at least get on top to a space where you're able to see what's happening in the peripheries. And if you're able to live in the peripheries, live in the peripheries. You'll be better for it. that's all I can say to summarize that.
I must take this opportunity to say very rarely this happens, that someone has come on my interview and has been so, so open about their, and so clear about her ideas, about your ideas. Uh, it's it's really, it really has been pretty inspiring, this entire session, and a lot of people are watching us live. And I again want to thank you, Shilpa, for coming and keeping the music alive. Like you said, today is the day I feel, whatever the motto with which I started the show is actually has started to fulfill its motto, because two musicians are talking to each other, and it's been so inspiring to either one, to either one of us, and also the audience. So before I end this, I would like to request you once more for the song that has been on loop. Actually, I've been listening to the lullaby that Ajji has taught you.
निज निज रे बाळ्या झोक देत म्या तुझला. निज निज रे बाळ्या झोक देत म्या तुझला. झोक देत हात माझा दुखला. जो झोक देत हात माझा दुखला. जो कोण्या पाप्याची दृष्ट झाली ग बाई. कोण्या पाप्याची दृष्ट झाली ग बाई. बाळ माझा खाल पिल नाही. जो बाळ माझा खाल पिल नाही. जो सुतार निर्गुंदी कारगिरान तार निर्गुंदी कारगीर नविला रंगीत पाळणा बनगिला जो जो रंगीत पाळणा बनगिला जो जो चरी बाजाला चिमण्या मोर काढिला चरी बाजाला चिमण्या मोर काढिला मधी धान्य बाळणा निजविला जो जो मधी धान्य बाळणा निजविला जो जो